more to the downside, and what's the sense?
See, Titan is in a corrective phase, so unless that correction is over, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to accumulate, because I would think at least one season of results is important to see. I'm sure the company wasn't kidding. So 1040 is the 200-day moving average. So that's where the next target is. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes below the 200-day moving average, closer to say 840, 800. So that's where you want to get into Titan, because every day there's a pullback rally, every day there's a sell-off. I don't think that's leading anywhere.
Okay, Ashwani, your thoughts on a stock like NCC? I mean, it used to be such a strong stock, and then we had that change in government in Andhra, and things changed, almost getting back towards its recent lows.
See, that's the whole point. If the entire broader market is falling, all stocks will find their own reason. So, if you want to buy this should be bought at some sort of 52-week low, etc., which could be closer to say 60, 64. So I think it's a pretty much vertical fall in most mid caps. So my sense is there is more downside to come.
The mid cap that has done very well, in fact among the best performers of the month, is actually Dish TV. And take a look at the stock soar away. Even now we're talking about an 8% up move suddenly on Dish TV. For the month, the gains are now at around 22 to 23%. Mayuresh, this is a very news-driven stock with respect to whatever is happening overall with the Z Group and whether there's some deal with Airtel. But what would your recommendation be at the current price of 33?
Again, I think, Surabhi, as you rightly pointed out, I think it's absolutely news-driven. What might happen in terms of the deal for Z is largely going to drive the sentiments in Dish TV as well. But if you probably look at the core fundamentals in terms of net subscriber addition, if you probably look at ARPUs, yes, they have bottomed out. But again, a large element in how the earnings forecast will come through based on the basic parameters at play. I think they still look very, very sticky in terms of giving a very a linear kind of an earnings path. So again, I think being very, very selective, I think, was Anuj was mentioning in terms of the mid-cap universe. I absolutely concur with that. I think over the next few weeks, I think you will get better entry points into the mid-cap universe. Mid-cap cement, for example, mid-cap infrastructure, like you were discussing right now, I think they probably look better themes going ahead. So again, I think a very large element of earnings upgrades might come through, or where there may be stability because of the execution at hand. I think a lot of these companies might do well. So I think we continue holding on to stocks and like stocks like Aramco within the mid-cap cement space, something like a Sadbhav Engineering, for example, and a Buildcon, which is corrected quite significantly because the orders at hand, the expectations of execution, the mobilization advances which will come through, and again a large element in terms of the EBITDA expansion, which will be gradual but on a positive side, will lead to earnings upgrades. So I think being selective, but I think mid-cap infra, mid-cap cement look very, very interesting at this point.
Okay, yeah, Dish TV has had a big move, and in fact it's not, the rally hasn't been sold into like it used to happen. That is a bit different this time around, perhaps. I don't know what the market might be sensing. Maruti is the other stock which is making a bit of a comeback, so 1.5% higher on Maruti. Ashwani, I know you have had an intraday buy call on Maruti, but positionally, what's the call on the stock?
Well, positionally, it's not much of a rally. So unless there is some good news and there is some buying power, I don't think these sort of 0.5%, 1% rallies will really lead you anywhere. So let's see if there is follow through and if numbers pick up, etc. Otherwise, it was in a range which was 64 to 7,000. It's clearly broken down below that range. So very difficult to hold on to something like Maruti, which is making fresh lows.
Okay, Mitesh, would you agree with the view on Maruti?
To me, I think it remains a stock which is slightly oversold in the short term, but the long-term charts are very damaged, given the fact that it broke that big support around the 6400 mark. I sense that, on a pullback closer to about 6250, 6300, I think would be excellent shorting opportunities, and eventually I think 5600 could be tested here.
Okay, well, we have the last two and a half minutes of trade left. There's no stopping Infosys even in the dying moments of trade. Stock now clocking 780, near 780 on the screen. Mayuresh, I'll make this my last question. Given this humongous rally today, is there any sense in buying Infosys now at fresh highs?
We probably need to wait it out because the results were stellar, no doubt. The order wins that they've got $2.7 billion. Very, very good. And again, I think the only sore factor which probably remains is the high attrition rates at this point of time, and the continued investments that they're probably making in terms of digital and the localization efforts in terms of on-site operations. Apart from that, I think the increase in revenue guidance, the maintenance of EBIT margin between 21-23%, and every likelihood that they might actually touch the upper end of the revenue guidance going forward, because they've done the right moves, specifically in areas like BFSI, by acquiring the right company into mortgages, which probably will pay off in the near future. At the same time, I think the kind of order book that they are sitting on, I think the execution thereof will ensure steady shift going forward. I think the forex headwinds and the wage hikes, I think they play onto the margins this time round. But largely, I think the earnings should probably hold up for Infosys. And there's a clear demarcation that's probably been done between Infosys and TCS in terms of the run rate that they've probably achieved this quarter round. So again, from a valuation perspective, it's a hold from my side. Clear disclaimer, we hold this stock in our funds.
Okay, gentlemen, on that note, let's start recapping the day gone by. A day where there are gains on the headline index, but the mid-caps have failed to perform once again. Anuj, so what's the takeaway from Monday?
Takeaway is the same. The market is volatile in a range, but the second round of selling which has started in the mid-caps, just keep an eye on that. That's, I think, the only point that I would want to mention as far as the index is concerned. Also, market positioning. Today, IndusInd is down 2.5% and Infosys is up 6%. A lot of that is because of market positioning. But anyway, stock of the day today was Infosys by distance, 7.5% higher, fresh all-time high on that stock. And now, of course, it's for the year, it's up about 18%. It's been a good stock this year. Apart from Infosys, Sun Pharma, where we had the double upgrade from Morgan Stanley in the morning, that was up 3%. UPL was up 3%. Very strong stock, UPL. Tech Mahindra was up 2%. Maruti was up 2%. Kotak Mahindra Bank, clearly the outperformer in the banks. On the way down, Indiabulls Housing was down 4%. IndusInd Bank was down 2.5%. And Z Entertainment was down about 1.5%.
Okay, on the mid-cap screen, as we've been saying, there's been clear underperformance. The advance decline ratio, very negative. You've got less than 700 stocks advancing, over 1,400 stocks on the declining side. Let's come down to the big movers and shakers. Well, DHFL really takes the top honors in terms of grabbing the attention for obvious reasons. There's a 30% decline on the stock that we have witnessed today. Beyond that, a very weak day for CG Power. Now, this is an 18 rupees stock. About a 10% down move over there. Allahabad Bank obviously taking a body blow because of the fraud coming to light. Then we've seen weakness on some of the ADAG names. Reliance Capital, by the way, has lost another 7% today. So the troubled stocks continue to be troubled. PSU banks in general have not had a good session today. So Union Bank, Canara Bank, quite a few of these names have been on the downside. Some unwinding on the sugar gains that we saw last week, Dhampur, Balrampur. Most of these names are down between 3 to 4%. So sugar was not a sweet spot today. If we see what else was weak, let's come to the movers and shakers in terms of news. Today was some relief for Interglobe Aviation, 2% up on that stock. On the upside, we had good news on Avenue Supermart, good numbers coming in, 5% up over there. Piramal Enterprises, where there's some fresh investment coming in. So that was a 6% up move on Piramal Enterprises as well. Other gainers, maybe a mention on Quest Corp because of the deal that's recently happened with Amazon over there, some interest. Spark was sparkling, 18% up on Spark. Sun Pharma Advanced Research, along with the parent on the large cap screen. And Dish TV, as we just discussed, was also up 6%. So some of the news-driven stocks were up, but otherwise a lackluster day for the mid-cap market. With that, let's take final thoughts on the technicals with the experts as well. Ashwani and Mitesh with us. Ashwani, now the way this has ended, at the index level, what's the advice for tomorrow?
See, the advice is short rallies and go long on declines till the market shows you that it's willing to breakout of this 11,480, 11,620 type of range. You can't take one directional views, because if you took them today, chances are you lost a whole lot of money. So if you don't know how to trade, don't trade.
Okay, Mitesh, would you also look at selling the rallies?
Yes, I think that view still continues. I think the only thing is that I'm still waiting for 11,620 kind of levels to initiate fresh shorts. But not very aggressive on the stock side also, though I think we have mild positive bias on stock side, particularly stocks like Infosys and all, which have made a fresh high. That looks like a fresh breakout. But overall, I think it's a market which, my sense, that could chop around for about 5 to 7 days between this 200-point range, and eventually I think we should prepare for a downside break.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, we will wind up this conversation on that note. Thank you for being with us this Monday afternoon. We need to take a quick break. On the other side, something to note: secure yourself and your family with life insurance. CNBC-TV18 is partnering with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance for the initiative called Mission Insure India, Insurance for All. The objective is to create awareness and disseminate knowledge about life insurance and the need to protect one's family. This Protection Day is dedicated to inculcating the thought of protecting the family